Award-winning journalist and author Zubaida Jaffer has brought to life the story of South Africa's first black female graduate and public figure, Charlotte Mannya Maxeke. In the biography, Beauty of the Heart, Zubaida takes us through the life of this important moral leader who impacted religious, health and political life of urban South Africa of the late 19th century and the early 20th century. Zubaida Jaffer joins us to discuss the latest book, and it's, as I said, it's titled The Beauty of the Heart, a very powerful story of Charlotte Maxeke. We have heard the name, but now she's about to come alive, and thanks to Zubaida. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tim.
Thank you, Tim. I think it's a great labor of love on your part.
It has been.
And we appreciate very much that you took time to work on this story for several reasons. You know, there's a part which now shows that she was not necessarily only a political leader because she's celebrated as that, and that's about it. That she's actually much, much more than that. And in an era where there was bigger trouble probably than now, where there were no freedoms extended to women, and actually women were not playing any public role or not substantial roles as they do today.
Yeah. I just need to correct something, Tim. She didn't just work in the urban setting.
Yes.
The first thing she did after getting a degree, a BSc degree at Ohio, at Wilberforce in Ohio,
yes,
was to come back and go to the village where her father grew up.
Okay.
To Ramagopa village.
Yes.
And to have night school for the herd boys. And to start the possibility of building a school and a church, which then eventually wasn't completed at that time because she moved to Everton to help set up the school and the teachers' college and the priests,
yes,
the school for the priests.
Now, let's talk about her in that biographical sense, because this is a biography of Charlotte Maxeke. Just give me a sweeping overview who Charlotte Maxeke was and how she ended up studying in the United States in the first place.
For me, it's an extraordinary story that shows true grit, shows a person, you know, who was able to kind of persevere and keep her eyes on the ball. And the ball was higher education. And I think it's very apt that the story comes now, because I would like to believe that the students need to reflect on where we've come and what efforts have been made to kind of get the education train starting. In various readings that I've had around the country, people ask me now, what is it that you think that made Charlotte who she is, or who she was? And I can only say that, you know, some people get born with that extra little bit of extra. Although the whole family was rather special, but Charlotte had that extra bit. She had no fear. She despite one of the other students being killed when he took a train in England and he was on his way to study, and this put off a lot of other people, she didn't give up. And she, after a trip to England, where she sang for the Queen with the choir, she came home.
That's Queen Victoria.
Queen Victoria,
yes.
1892. And that's where these photographs that are in the book were taken and never seen for 125 years. Not seen by us, at least.
Yes.
And we're fortunate that 2 years ago there was an effort to kind of recover the photos, and then I got to hear about it, and then we were able to buy 5 of the 24, you know, because it's owned in Britain. We have to question that, but
yes,
it's owned in Britain.
Yes.
So I think they should have given us the photos, but nevertheless they didn't.
Yes.
So she then lands in the United States, again with a choir, influenced by an African-American troupe that came to sing in Kimberley, the Jubilee Choir.
Okay.
And Orpheus McAdoo. There's this play, Orpheus McAdoo, in Africa.
Yes.
So Orpheus McAdoo, and she gets to hear about, you know, men and women who are studying in the United States. They go with the choir, not for the purpose of studying, to sing, but then the organizers abandon them, as happened in England as well. And then the AME Church got to hear about this, and they kind of took over, the South Africans who were stranded.
And placed them at different institutions.
Well, yeah, a few of them, and
Yes.
Charlotte was one, and she was the only woman who went to Wilberforce in Ohio, which was the first institution for free slaves.
Now, let's pause right there. I'm actually thinking we have to make the point that at that time there was no university for black South Africans in
correct.
South Africa.
That's right.
Because it only came into being in the early part of the 20th century.
Yeah.
So we have to keep that in mind.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
number one. Number two, women, also in that early time, white women in South Africa were also not at
Allowed
universities.
At these institutions,
Yeah,
right?
at universities.
Yeah.
So Charlotte got her degree more or less at the first time when a handful of white women got their degrees
Yes.
in South Africa. And I think I write about it in the book. And those women are all women who come from, the mayor's daughter of Cape Town and this and
Yes,
this.
yes.
Charlotte was,
A
the
rural village
the child,
girl at the time.
Yeah, well, she moved on to Kimberley and Uitenhage and all that, but she was a teacher from a family from a father who was illiterate, but a mother who had gone to school.
Now, she comes back to South Africa with this education. She tries to start the school in the rural Limpopo now, and comes to Gauteng, Everton, starts Wilberforce. And I was telling you the story. I grew up hearing about Wilberforce Teachers College, hearing about Kilnerton Teachers College.
Yes.
I'm pleased to know that this Wilberforce Teacher Training College is actually connected to Charlotte Maxeke.
Yes, and it's still there today.
Yeah.
I was shocked to go and find it, and it's now a community college, which the government has helped to revamp, and it's still run only by black South Africans and African Americans.
Yes.
And the Charlotte Maxeke Institute that is being launched this weekend in Pretoria, they are talking about setting up a public school for rural girls, for talented rural girls in Charlotte's name. And I've been saying to them, let's do it there, because it's a very big property. People stay there.
Yes.
And why not do it there where she had, started
Yeah,
the story?
because I can imagine she'll be a spiritual figure, a very inspirational figure for whoever walks through there to say,
right.
the founder actually had something to do with this particular place.
Yes.
But now she's celebrated in political circles more than in the contribution she made in public life. Why do you think that is the case? And what is it about her and her influence on South Africa that we need to know more about, that we are not appreciating at the moment?
I would actually say I'd be more interested in the educational side.
Yes.
Because we are having challenges at that level. And so I think that lifting her up and making her come alive at this point is particularly important for education. Because you see, we have got very lopsided understandings of our history. So you may have heard of Kilnerton and you may have heard of Wilberforce, but I certainly didn't hear of Wilberforce. And I knew of some other schools, but many people now today don't know that there was this rich grouping of people who were already very far advanced in every respect and who could compete with anybody in the world. I was surprised, I'm an alumnus of Columbia University, and only when I was doing this work did I discover that Pixley Kaseme was in the Hall of Fame of Columbia.
Can you see it? Right? Yeah.
And his speech was when he was 24 years old, his speech was reported in the New York Times of that time. And he was considered a really, really fine intellectual and student. I mean, so much so that he's in the Hall of Fame.
Exactly.
And firstly, I didn't know that at all. And I'd never read his speech, which should be standard reading for everybody at school, wherever. It's a beautiful speech. And there was so much in this that that became clear to me. Even though I've read a lot.
But,
This was quite a revelation.
Sure, and you are a journalist,
Yes.
an author, researcher, that's what you must put in.
Yes.
But you know, sometimes when you cover a story, it can transform your impact, or have great impact on you as a person.
Yes.
If there's one thing, or a couple of things that you took away from the Charlotte Maxeke story that drove you, inspired even more to do the work that you put into this book, Beauty of the Heart, what is it that you took away from her life story?
Well, the one thing that resonated the most with me, I suppose because I also feel this is very crucial, is what she said about beauty of the heart, and what she said about dignified conduct, and what she said and how she spoke to the girls and the women and said that you have to be upright and dignified if anybody's going to take your society seriously. And I'm so appalled today, you know, when I see how people can just say anything at any time, you know, carelessly. And these are not ordinary people that you can say are not aware of the implications. These are our leaders who say these things, you know, across the political parties. And I must say I'm not impressed. I'm appalled. I think some of the greatest damage is being done because of the incorrect or the sort of casual use of words. Charlotte was very concerned about that. And she was very concerned about, dignified conduct.
Sure.
And that's out of the window at the moment in South Africa.
Well, I just want to emphasize one thing, that this is a foremost leader of South Africa of more than 100 years ago, and through her own personal effort, did a lot of things that we should know about and celebrate in South Africa today. And we are very happy, Zubaida, that you put it into a book now. We've got no excuse to know about Charlotte Maxeke. And the title of the book is Beauty of the Heart, a biography by award-winning author, journalist Zubaida Jaffer. It tells you a story of a time that's very different to now, as much as we talk about rights and other things correctly. So let's go back and find out what our forefathers, and now she adds foremothers, did for us so that today we can live in a democratic South Africa. This is a must read for anybody who cares about the history of South Africa. Zubaida, thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Tim.
Much appreciated.
Thank you so much.